Kaleidoscope, an instrument containing mirrors and pieces of colored glass, when rotated constantly, causes a change in sequence of elements. A podcast that resembles light, a space to have contemplative and reflective dialogue, so we can become the high-quality men and women we were designed to be, and discover how to begin a journey of becoming all that you are designed to be. You are the kaleidoscope, and we will bring the narrative.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Kaleidoscope Narrative. I'm your host, Miss J. I'm never alone in studio. Today I'm with Jono, and then we've got Keith, and then we've got Dumi behind the camera. And unfortunately, Tinash couldn't join us today because he had a family emergency. Here I go again. Family emergency. So he will be missed this episode. But nonetheless, the family is growing. And welcome to a new season. Season 2. Season 2. I'm excited. How have you been, Jonah?
I've been good.
It's been
the week that was.
Oh, as always.
As always.
Hi, Keith.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
You want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Right. My name is Keith Scott.
Yeah.
I am a paraplegic.
Yes.
I'm an ex-offender.
Yes.
And I am a honours student in psychology.
Yes, you are.
So as a disclaimer, I'm
Yeah.
not a psychologist.
Yeah.
In case any of that slips out through the conversation.
Sure.
And I'm presently doing my master's in clinical
I'm so
psychology.
proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Very kind.
And you have a beautiful daughter.
Yes, I have indeed. Yes.
She's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Good job.
Absolutely.
And hi, Dumi. You can just say hi. Dumi's just waving. He doesn't want to be heard behind the scenes. Well, it's a new year.
Yeah.
It's a new season. And oftentimes during a new year, we set resolutions. Because we don't want to repeat certain things that we have been repeating the years prior. We want to see some changes in our lives. We want to grow. We want to attack life with a new perspective. And one of the things we need to do or to have when we pursue that journey is to have accountability. And that's going to be our topic of discussion today.
Right.
What is accountability?
Right. Accountability for me is justifying your behavior.
Yeah.
Right. For many, it is a very confusing time because there are certain expectations in the world. And in psychology, there is something called cognitive distance, which, let me use an example. A smoker will know in their minds that smoking is bad, but they will also at the same time say, smoking relaxes me.
Yeah.
So that immediately there's a disjoint. There's two polars there, okay, two opposites. And that kind of confusion, if you like, we cannot then be accountable for what we are doing, can we? So, and that kind of disjoint situation in one's mind leads to anxiety, depression, all these other things. So to be accountable, one needs to, in my opinion, be honest with yourself. And that is very, very difficult to do.
I was going to say that.
Very, very difficult to do. You know, for ladies and men who are watching their weight, for example, one could say, I'm on a diet, okay? You're watching television at night. You open up the box of cookies. You have one. And you say to yourself, well, that's it. I've broken my diet.
True.
I might as well have the entire box. Now you're not being accountable, are you? You're not being honest with yourself.
Yes.
Right? Now, I'm going to use my example of being convicted of a crime.
Sure.
Okay? And how you come to terms with that. you're in a court of law,
Yes.
and the state is accusing you of doing something.
Mm-hmm.
I represented myself through my trial, which was a major mistake. But I knew that what I was being accused of is not what I
had done. Before we move on, can I ask us to go into details as to why you chose to represent yourself?
I was disappointed with the legal aid and the attorneys that I had.
All right.
They were very expensive
Okay.
when I've had, and I think the break-off point for me was, in terms of rands and cents,
Yeah.
was something at 365,000.
Sure.
I decided that this is not gonna work out. I'm gonna cash drain you faster than this. And my trial took 12 years.
Yes.
So and I knew in my heart of hearts that I was innocent.
Yes.
Okay. But I cannot then say, as an ex-offender,
Yes.
because being inside Westville Correctional Centre,
Sure.
there are no guilty people.
Yes.
Everybody's innocent.
Sure.
Right? Which is garbage. It's rubbish. It's rubbish. You know, there was one axe murderer that I met, and he said to me, "Yes, the police caught me with the axe in my hand.
Oh wow.
Yes, there was blood dripping off my elbow, but I was given the axe. The man who committed the crime ran away." That is absolute rubbish. Okay. But let's not deviate.
Yes.
So, for me to make sense of being convicted of a crime was that the state had an opinion, they had a set of facts. I had my opinion, I had my set of facts. What I couldn't prove was that the bank account where the investors' money went was not my personal account, as the state was claiming, but ABSA bank account.
Yes.
Okay, it was an ABSA bank account, but in the brokerage's name. Okay, I could not prove that. So I cannot sit here now and say, injustice of this country,
True.
etc., etc. And so I'm accountable, I'm responsible for that. If I had proven that,
Yes.
I would never have gone to prison. But at the same time, when I did appeal, I'm pleasantly surprised to see the magistrate say to me, "Why did you not have this information earlier?" Because I then got hold of the directors, and they confirmed that was the account of ABSA.
Yes.
But it was too late.
True.
The hammer had hit down.
True.
Now, my disability at the same time is another example,
Yes.
where you're 21 years old, you have a motorcycle accident,
Yes.
you've just finished a military career, so you know that when somebody's injured, you don't move them, and you're lying on the side of the road, and people are walking past you and saying, "Is he alive?" And your father arrives at the scene and says, "Stand up." And you're a 6-foot male, and you say to your father, "I can't." And he insists, "Stand up." And you say, "Let's rather wait for the ambulance." And you wait for the ambulance, and a week later you're in the spinal unit in Pretoria, and the doctors come in like a movie, and they say, "Mr. Scott, your mom and dad are here. We have very bad news for you." Right? Now, to be accountable there, you have to say, right, is it the car's fault that hit me off my motorcycle? Is it my fault? Whatever it is that's not a point. You need to take responsibility. Right? So accountability and responsibility are
interrelatable, interchangeable.
Linked. Now, what I said earlier about the world is an ever-changing place.
Yes.
It's very fluid, and I regard it more as of a dance, right? So, you know that when you're at a party, there's different music.
Sure.
It's not all the same music.
No.
There's different dances. You have a tango, you have a foxtrot, you have a waltz, you have
Samba.
Everything.
Sure.
And life is no different.
True.
But you need to be responsible you need to accept that this is what it's all about. Now, if you are responsible, then by definition you are accountable.
Yes.
But if you're not going to be honest with yourself, and being honest with ourselves is the most difficult thing in the world.
It is, and that was going to be my next question. How does one come to that place of truth? How do you sit with yourself, analyze, have conduct an assessment and say, this is what's happening and I accept it?
Right. So I'm glad that you said you sit down with yourself.
You have to.
But
Yes.
for me,
Yeah.
some people have that
Yes.
ability to have a self-talk to themselves, and things are fine. They get themselves sorted out. But in my opinion, psychotherapy must never be underrated.
Sure.
You know, I would encourage most of us to go for psychotherapy, because we are living in this world which is fairly confusing.
Yeah.
You know, and we want to be accountable. We want to be responsible. But there's so much confusion out there.
True.
You know, morals and values and ethics and all those nice things are just slipping away
Every day.
Things are not what they should be.
True.
And I'm not trying to say that, you know, the world should be a particular thing or have a particular design, but you know, if you want to bring spirituality into it, whatever your convictions are, one needs to appreciate that for things to work well and to function well, we all need to, first of all, be responsible, be accountable for our actions, and once we achieve those things within a particular framework, we can move forward, we can achieve.
That's very true.
We can grow. But without that, if we're sitting by ourselves and we don't have that ability to work things out, then we go for psychotherapy. And the psychologist is not there to say to you, this is the map.
True.
You are the one. You are the designer of your destiny. You are in control. All they're going to do is guide you.
Guide you.
They're going to listen. There's going to be interaction, and you can flow.
And I appreciate you saying that. Now, where somebody has the inability to assess themselves, surely as friends, as family, when we see someone with a recurrent problem that we think is harmful to them and those around them, whether it is random outbursts of anger, severe anxiety, whatever the problem may be, addiction, or just irresponsibility with finances, where you have a family, you can easily now lose your house, and you know, the things that keep you sane in this world. Where do we fit in as family, as friends, where we can sit somebody down and say, listen, there's a blind spot that you have that we recognize is there? Because if somebody's unable then to assess themselves, like you said, only some people have that ability. How somebody then is not going to willingly go and see a psychologist. Yeah. So how important is the role of those around somebody to then help them and say, listen, we are concerned, this is coming from a place of love, that there is a problem here. And if it perpetuates, it's going to lead to enormous disaster. How do we approach those kind of situations? Because it's not always easy.
No, it certainly is not easy, because we don't, you know, not all of us have studied psychology.
Yes.
Not all of us come with the love that we should have. And sometimes I think if we use the word communication, you know, just broadly, it falls flat. What is important is that we need to appreciate that when we're communicating with somebody about a particular issue, it is very, very important. It is critical that we don't give the listener the impression that we are trying to control, trying to change them,
Condemn.
judge. We must come from a place of empathy, from understanding, so that they appreciate that the love and the guidance that we are trying to instill in them and to show them is coming from a good place.
True. Love.
Yes.
Ultimately, love.
Yes. And what did Jesus say? Love one another as I've loved you. Love your God with all your heart and all your soul.
True.
Those are the most important things.
Yes.
And if you can show that love to the person, hopefully they can see the light. If not, then one must seek professional help. And there's a stigma attached, unfortunately.
True.
People don't want to.
True.
People want to say, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend all the money.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a cocaine problem, but it's not that big.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the finances, the bond is already extended, and that is going up the nose.
True.
Very, 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 very sad.
True. Gambling.
Terrible.
Yeah.
But now, as I said before, I'm not a psychologist.
Yes.
Okay. I only have an honours degree. So, for me, personally, and I'm speaking just personally, every issue in our lives, there's an underlying, unresolved crisis.
Crisis
In our development.
Yeah.
All right. So we can attach all kinds of theories to things, like, for example, being taken off the breast at an early too early stage has now come out in theories about alcoholics, substance abuse, that sort of thing, because the child, the baby, has not finished with that developmental process. And if we can identify these things in our lives and sort them out, get them nicely packaged and put on the shelf, we can move forward. If not, then we cannot. So if we are not responsible to get our issues sorted out, then how are we ever going to be accountable for our actions?
Definitely not.
We can't. We can't move forward.
No, we can't. In fact, what happens is that we repeatedly continue the same cycles.
Yes.
Which is dangerous for me sometimes, I think, is that we pass on those cycles onto our offspring, because then it's normal for them. And so we breed the same attitudes that move from generation to generation to generation, until somebody along the path wakes up and says, this can't be healthy. This can't be healthy.
Because it's learned behavior.
It is.
Because who did we initially learn from? We learned from our parents.
True.
And then we went to school, and if we were in the wrong group at school, then we learned from that.
True.
And we were influenced by that, and we aspired to be like those people. So, the people that I met at Westville it was a lovely experience for me, because there was such a diverse range of individuals, who, interestingly enough, could not justify why they did what they did. Some of them are just narcissistic.
True.
So I wanted a cell phone. I had a knife. I went up to the young lady. I
got it.
And I took it.
Yeah.
Because she can get another one.
Yeah.
She's insured. They did not take responsibility.
Yeah.
They never will.
No, they won't.
And that's why the reoffending rate in South Africa is as high as 85%.
That's very scary.
Very scary.
So, tell me, are there programs that help inmates with accountability?
My master's thesis, interestingly enough, is about rehabilitation in South African correctional services. And we must be very careful that we don't frame South Africa
Yes.
as unique. It is a worldwide problem that offenders will just re-offend and become career criminals. There are many examples. People went out after serving 10 years. They were back within 3 months.
That's so sad.
It is sad because they have not resolved
Exactly.
issues. And when we talk about accountability within correctional services, one wants to look at perhaps, does the state not have to be accountable to offenders?
Hence my question.
They have the offenders have. You have taken this person out of society.
Yes.
You've put him into a correctional centre.
True.
He then has the right to be rehabilitated.
True.
And if you fail, then you're not being responsible.
No.
And you're just not accountable.
Yeah.
So the state is not accountable. And we see that with governments worldwide.
In every department, in every sphere.
It is just not there, you know. And what do we do about it? It is a major problem. It is a major problem. There are no, for me, it was crystal clear that there was no psychological program or programs that changed anybody before they left.
So basically leaving a void and a vicious cycle.
For example, to be, you know, and I'm not being overly critical of correctional services. They just don't do this. Drug offenders, people who are incarcerated because of drug abuse, do not receive drug rehabilitation.
No.
Nothing. Not a thing. Not a week. Not a day. Nothing. It's cold turkey. And I was fortunate because of my disability that I stayed in a hospital section. But in the sections, drug abuse is very common.
This is disheartening. Okay, we'll be back after the break. We'll pick up with Keith, and there's so much to delve in. See you after the break. Thank you so much for joining us on YouTube. If you want to conclude the rest of the conversation, do join us on the following platforms. We are on Google Podcast, Anchor FM. We are on Breaker. We are on iTunes and Spotify, and there's another one.
Twitter.
We're on Twitter, Periscope, and the one we're talking about.
The long one.
Instagram. Yeah, so check us out there, and you can enjoy the rest of the podcast. Ciao, everybody.